Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with another new build, and this time around we are going with some cast on crit detonate dead poison version. So I've played this type of a build a couple of times now as a necromancer and as an assassin. It's cast on crit detonate dead, but it's a bit of a twist this time around because there is an anomalous detonate dead gem that turns your fire damage into chaos damage. It's a 60% conversion at 20 quality if we get a 23 quality gem, and if we craft a sword with 8 quality of gems inside this item, it gets up to 93% converted to chaos, and then we base our entire existence around damage over time. So we are an assassin, so we're trying to get some crit going all over the place, and then when you cast on crit, you shit out a bunch of desecrates and then detonate deads and get some pretty serious ramp going. The strength of this build compared to the last type of version is that it's probably going to have much higher single target DPS once you get your ramp going, but you do have to fix a few little problems like instant killing stuff and surviving through that instant killing of stuff. So as you can see, we are CI, that is energy shield, full-blown energy shield, and that was because when I first sort of looked into the build, it didn't particularly look like it was going to be very viable for life, just not enough life on the tree. But honestly, currently after like playing around with it, I think you can fit a combs into the build quite comfortably and then get like 6k life, and it's probably going to be a lot easier to build as life, as you'll see with my energy shield gear. It's quite challenging to get enough energy shield to end up being truly better than the life variant, because we will need some energy shield on hit to get some sustain happening, which is only really coming from a pair of boots, and then of course the discipline watcher's eye, and then you can try and get some energy leech, but that's not going to be very instant, and you don't have a life flask, so that's quite a lot of extra sustain that you usually would have in a build like this that you just can't have, and then don't really have any other defensive measure of evasion or armor or something, which I think a life-based version could do. But either way, I am making CI work, and I'll definitely have a working CI build to post, but I'll also probably give a working life version as well, which should be quite a bit easier to put together and quite a bit easier to level through the game. But as you can see, we have huge amounts of ramp as an assassin with just getting extra duration every single time you poison, and every single time we crit with Cyclone we're poisoning, every single time we hit with Detonate Dead we're poisoning, so you get a huge amount of ramp in this build, and thus you just start to scale poison into infinity the longer you can attack something. There aren't too many bosses out there that really truly let you do that, because for most of them, like let's say a Shaper or a Cirrus, as soon as you're ramped, they'll do some other asshole attack that stops all of your damage from going through. But there will be a few examples here or there, maybe some Simulacrum, some Wave 20 Cosis, that sort of thing, where we might be able to fully test our ramp out, and I do have high hopes for the build. I do feel like it could potentially run some of the highest, hardest of maps if I've put it together just right by the end of the character, because I think the damage while ramping should be there and should let us do all of that highest content. I'm talking like 100% delirium maps, and typically my characters don't do that stuff very smoothly because they're not really built to be overpowered in that sense. And I'm still not 100% sure this one will be either, but like I said, kind of got hopes for that. But as you can see, it's pretty smooth gameplay, pretty smooth play style of just buzzing through everything and blending it all and watching the damage over time go to work. It is still pretty similar to the usual cast on crit detonate dead I originally popularized, and there's not too much difference in that sense. You're just running around cycloning, but it's a different type of degen, different type of burn, and different type of buttery smoothness. I do love me some Cast on Crit Detonate Dead. I do love the new Tentacle MTX, but when it's all going off like this, you can hardly tell what's happening, so the microtransactions aren't too important, I don't think, anyway. So I'll jump into and kind of show you what I've made for this character so far and just how ridiculous the energy shield version is. So here is our current character, level 87 assassin called Dr. Coctopus, and that is because, as I mentioned, the microtransactions for this build are based around the tentacle stuff that is gonna look something like this, if I can show you just right. So Desecrate has a tentacle microtransaction like that, and it's a little bit silly, and then Detonate Dead has a similar sort of tentacle thing going on too. When it's all just going off, you can hardly tell what the fuck's happening, and it's probably better off to just have regular stuff, regular cast on crit, non-microtransaction stuff, because it's probably just a little bit prettier. But as I said, you can see that we're based around the anomalous Detonate Dead here. 93% of fire converted to chaos. I did originally plan to use an Infernal Mantle as well to help convert, but once you're at a 23 qual and also using this type of a sword, then there's no point really wasting an entire chest slot for 15% conversion when there's only 7% left. We're better off doing something better with that chest slot. Otherwise, you can get, you know, a Val Detonate Dead if you really want without 23 qual. But the problem with that is that Val Detonate Dead doesn't have its fire damage converted to chaos. And that's why I'm not using Val Detonate Dead here. I'm just using a regular version. So Val Detonate Dead is a button I loved pressing in the previous builds, but in this build it won't really do anything, so we don't really do that at all. Now what you need for the sword is just a basic cast on crit sword. Ideally, if you can get some attack speed on it, that'd be cool. And then you're crafting 2 extra mods. And the main and most important one is the 8 quality of Socketed Gems. The crit, it's nice, but not that necessary as an assassin. So with the 8 extra qual craft, you then get up to this amount of quality, so that's 31. It is a 23 quality because I vowed a bunch of 20 qual ones at level 1 to see if I could get the Val Detonate Dead. I did, but turns out we don't need that, so shit. And I've still got a 23 qual, so that's why I'm using this one here anyway. You do have a large increased area attached just so that we can actually clear things a lot smoother than a Desecrate, a Spell Cascade, a Deadly Elements, Phantasmal Cyclone, so that gives us just higher chance to avoid being stunned, and then of course the Detonate Dead itself. So that's the 6 link. And increased area gets subbed out for unbound ailments whenever we want our damage to go a little bit higher. The chest I've gone with is currently just pure energy shield with some frenzy on hit. Frenzy on hit just gives us a little bit of extra attack speed, a little bit of extra damage, but the most important thing is just big energy shield here. Crafted this thing with just alt regaling until we got some good results. Started out with the hybrid Seraphim and then the frenzy on hit. First regal I did with an imprint ended up hitting big energy shield, so here it is. Not too big a deal if you can't get the frenzy on hit, obviously, but a little bit of an extra boost. And other than that, I'm not even sure the CI version is the most worth version, and I'll go into that in just a second. We then have a helm with 45% chance to detonate an additional corpse, so not sure that's really that insane, because I think that's only like 1 additional corpse after you've done the spell cascade of like 3. So you're constantly spell cascading 3 corpses to detonate dead, and then you got a chance to detonate another 1, another 45% chance to detonate 1 more. So it's a gain, but probably not that huge a gain. Then just like energy shield, chaos damage, used aberrant and dense fossils to craft these on hunters. Used dense fossils to craft this crystal belt, which is a Crusader crystal belt. Grabbed these venomous spinnerets, so we do have aspect of the spider going off, and it goes up to 4 stacks thanks to this, but we also gain 20 energy shield on each hit, which is affected for our Cyclone and our Detonate Dead, so that's a good bit of sustain there. And I'll probably still grab a Watcher's Eye, which is like 5 exalts for the Discipline energy leech or energy gain on hit, which should make our sustain quite a bit nicer once again. Rings with some accuracy, strength, actually no accuracy there, just strength and aspect, and then making our skill free to use as well, thanks to those mods. Where are we? There we go. So yeah, free skills. And then our last piece of gear, which is a really basic one, Ungol's Harmony. So it gives us up to 350 increased global crit, which is pretty damn good for our Cyclone crit, so we get lots of good cast on crit procs, and then for Detonate Dead critting. And the main reason to do that is for the Ascendancy to work. It says your critical strikes do not deal extra damage. That's fine, our critical strikes don't need to deal extra damage, but this node here does still work. This one here. Poisons you inflict with critical strikes deal 50% more damage. So we do get our procs off a lot faster with this thing, and we also get the extra damage from crits during this Ascendancy, since it's not the exact same functioning as regular crit multi. And that's what makes this thing actually pretty damn good. I'm still going to pick a different anoint. I think freedom of movement is just something I was leveling with, because it's just a bit of extra movement speed and stuff, but I'll probably get something a bit thicker in the end. The Assassin Ascendancy, the main reason we choose it is for this node here, 5% duration for each poison you inflict recently. So that's just huge extra damage and ramp in the end. Of course, this is pretty nice too, that's pretty nice, that's pretty nice, but this is the main node and why we're choosing it. So my first 2 points were this, then this, then this, then this. As far as the passive tree is concerned, we are taking some good energy shield stuff, and then we basically don't really want to travel at all, so we just grab 2 clusters. And they are chaos clusters. They're pretty basic because there's nothing particularly good about the chaos clusters for us, so they will just have a little bit of chaos node damage, and I'll still pick that up. We then have some pretty damn good stuff in the form of medium clusters. So what you're going for is hemorrhage, because we want that extra crit chance, and then the crit damage over time from crit strikes. And what we're going for is just that, comboed with anything. So in this case, exposure therapy. Over here, comboed with vile reinvigoration, just some sort of energy shield node. So we're just alt-regaling until we get some good results. And then down here, they are brush with death, so the energy shield on kill. That's a good bit of sustain, so we do like to have those, but if you're using a Cinder Swallow, not strictly necessary. And then all these energy shield nodes, which are energy from naught, because, well, shit, we don't have that much energy shield, so we do kinda need these. And these are alt-regaled as well until you get some good little stats. It shouldn't take too many alts to achieve some decent little results here of resist stats, some shit like that. Then we've also got a large, very large ring, Thread of Hope, that gets us some good energy shield, movement speed, attack speed, and overcharge that gives us just a good sustain of power and endurance charge during clear. And then you get these nice little corpse nodes that just give you more life, CI and poison stuff and whatever. And ultimately, if you go a life-based variant, you'll be doing the same thing. You can do the same thing. You can also build your tree a bit differently, but you'll be doing the same thing. Instead, you get Feast of Flesh, so that would be huge extra sustain, 40 life gain on hit. Pick up some more life, you get phase acro, and then you're probably just going to run a Comb's Heart. And I think once it's all said and done, around level 93 or so, you probably have about 6k life, and it'll be a much cheaper build to put together, and it will also be probably better sustained, because you can grab life gain on hit on your rings, you can get life gain on hit as vitality, you don't have to waste mana as discipline, and then you can also get the Feast of Flesh actual use there too. Because currently I don't really need this last 6 link, 5 link, whatever. I will probably make use of it, but it's not very necessary. So yeah, you could easily wear a Combs there, go life base, and be completely fine. Our other gem links are Wither Totem, so that's all that good stuff there. Ice Golem, Withering Step, Flame Dash, Fast Casting, and then Discipline, Herald of Agony, which is the divergent version, so that we have more poison chance on hit since we're not currently capped. And then just a precision as much as you can or want, and an enlightened level 3. And then, like I said, aspect of the spider here as well. Oh, I'm spent. So character's going pretty well. I do hope to have some good news and end game potential in the next couple days, but yeah, if you're going to try and rebuild it, unless you have a really high budget, because all of this gear ends up being pretty expensive, or at the very least crafting it might be, you know, a bit RNG, and you might not get lucky, then the life-based version is probably going to be better for you. But you could also copy the ES version. I'll see how it goes and maybe have to make a comparison by the end game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.